Adrian, what the hell? You didn't return my text. I've been sitting here waiting on my phone. You haven't said anything in a couple days.
My phone broke.
Broke.
I know I tell you every other week that my phone broke so I don't have to talk to you. This time it's really true. I have no means of communication with anyone.
I've got an idea. I've got just the thing for this. Adrian, I would like you to meet Hedwig. Hedwig, Adrian. He can deliver letters for you. It's Hedwig. Adrian.
Interesting.
I think he's perfect.
Hedwig, I have something very important for you to deliver. 1 second here.
What's that, It says Dalton is fired from Strip Cover Lit.
That last word there is surprise. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's...
Surprise.
I hate you so much.
Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I am Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we are here for this week's installment of a series that is very special to Dalton because he's no good as a person.
It's very special to Adrian, too. This is very special to everyone. This is Adrian Reads Harry Potter. This is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Chapter 16 and 17.
Yes.
Okay.
Give us the rundown.
Give the rundown. Chapter 16, the Goblet of Fire. There you go. We get way too many feasts, multiple feasts. Everything's just a feast. The goblet is presented by Dumbledore. It will be the selector of the tournament contestants. It is protected by an age line. The students take their respective turns entering for 24 hours. And we get our champions. Victor Crumb, Fleur Delacroix, Cedric Diggory, and Harry Potter. Which leads us to Chapter 17, the four champions. Complete anger against the schools, because obviously, Hogwarts has two champions now, how dare you. We get some good tension between Mad-Eye Moody and Karkaroff, and Harry Potter is upset that he was entered, he's scared of what's coming forward, and Ron seems to turn on him towards the end.
A little bit of jealousy, maybe.
A little bit of jealousy, possibly. So that's what we've got. Adrian, where would you like to start with this?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The one thing that stuck out to me, especially through these two chapters as opposed to the rest of the series, Hermione's getting a bit annoying.
Okay.
Right? Like when she's championing things, I can poke holes in that, right? Like when she's making the argument for the house elves, I'll poke holes in that because there are certain things that seem off to me.
Okay.
She's just downright annoying in these two chapters. Because anything anyone does, she's the nagging mother,
okay.
Right?
All right.
She becomes nagging throughout this, and that's. I wonder why that is. Like, I wonder if this is one of those things where J.K. Rowling maybe got too close to the character.
Okay.
And she inserted that motherhood into Hermione, right? Which there were traces of it before, sure.
Okay.
But now it seems that no one can do anything without that worrying mother's voice.
And Hermione has been always seen as the rational, level-headed one.
Sure, but she was not necessarily a chiter, right?
True.
She's
Very
chiding
true.
people.
Very true.
Wrong. Harry.
And at this point, she does try to get Hagrid to join Spew as well. At which point, Hagrid basically shoots her down. So maybe it's just Hermione. I don't know, reacting against everybody she's trying to get close with lately has shot her down. So maybe it's just her kind of acting out against that. But a lot of interesting stuff going on with Hermione right now.
Right.
Very different character than we've been presented with before. And maybe that's just development of characterization. We haven't talked about that a lot lately.
Well, and I think from a writer's perspective, it's possible that... Look, by this time... This is the fourth book?
Mm-hmm.
By this time, J.K. Rowling has spent at least 5 years with these characters, right?
Absolutely.
So, if you and I do this show for 5 years, I will get aggravated with you.
Yes.
we didn't do this show for 5 minutes before we got aggravated.
I was going to say, that's already happened. We've made that.
Right. And not just me, right? Like, you get aggravated with me, too. So I wonder if this is one of those things where you see that transcendent moment.
Okay.
Where these characters become real people to the writer, to the author.
Okay.
And you're forced to... Because when you're sitting down and you're writing these things, they just happen. Right? Regardless of the fact... Look, J.K. Rowling is a meticulous plotter, right? Mm-hmm. Above and beyond that, she's still a writer. So these things are happening as they come to her.
Yes.
So it is easy to get lost in that dynamic as a writer, as an author, and get aggravated with your own characters. Okay. And when you've got that little voice in the story inherently there, right? That is inherently J.K. Rowling. We're led to believe that Hermione is J.K. Rowling, right? We've got little things along the way that make you think this is the character she identifies with.
Okay.
She's the voice that stands up for things, right? Harry Potter doesn't do that. Ron doesn't do that. Snape doesn't do that. Dumbledore doesn't really do that. Hagrid doesn't do that.
Okay.
So we're left to see Hermione as a sort of driving force. So when you've got that voice in there that is inherently you, it's easy to yell through them.
Okay.
Right.
There's a lot of change in characters. I know we used to talk about this quite a bit because you absolutely hated Dumbledore when you were first introduced to him. And I made the argument that the early Dumbledore from Sorcerer's Stone is not the Dumbledore you get later in the books. Now, somebody in the comments section has argued that with me and said that is not the case. That is incorrect. Dumbledore is completely different than he was in the first book. Dumbledore is not as kooky and ridiculous.
Right.
He still has his... he's eccentric. He is.
Yes.
But he is more useful as a character now.
He seems a lot more like the wizard from...
Gandalf?
He seems a lot more like Gandalf than he did.
He's a lot more wise.
Less magic, more wisdom, right?
Yes, very much so.
The wisdom part of wizardry.
And that is something very interesting that we get to see in Chapter 17 is Dumbledore's reaction to Harry's name being put into the Goblet of Fire.
Right. He asks him very calmly,
yes.
Right? Did you put your name in there?
This is not, Dumbledore just saying, oh, well, it's Harry Potter again. He's not being eccentric. This is serious Dumbledore, the first time we've ever really seen him. Where he's sitting down, he's being the adult in the room, he's like, all right, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? You need to tell me this.
At the same time, though, we do not get the condescension of an adult chiding a child, do we?
No.
He simply asks him, and I think, the way this reads to me is... We're in a universe where time travel exists.
Correct.
Right? This strikes me as something where Dumbledore already knows the outcome.
Okay.
So he's simply doing lip service to the rest of the adults in the room saying, hey, did you put your name in here?
Very much so.
Because it's simply a tag.
Yes.
Right? It's simply a tag on that scene.
And that's probably a good, accurate description of what's going on, because all the other adults in the room are furious.
Yes.
The other heads of the schools are angry because it's not going to be a fair competition. Even Snape attacks Harry Potter.
Which seems a bit planted, right?
It is a little planted.
He doesn't need to be in the room.
But what I can never figure out about this is once it's established that it's done, there's no concern. It's mentioned briefly that I think Fleur Delacour calls him a little boy. It said, he's too young to compete. But none of the adults in the room seem too concerned with this. Besides Mad-Eye.
Mad-Eye is furious for the opposite reason.
Okay.
Everyone's furious that Harry Potter is in the tournament. Mad-Eye's furious because Harry Potter has to compete in the tournament.
Okay. It seems very interesting that... the best way to describe it is the competitors in the tournaments are not children. They are adults.
Right.
These are adults essentially going to war because they've come of age. They are going to be put into a dangerous situation, which they are fighting for the honor of their respective country, essentially.
Right.
They're going to war.
And for me, it's honestly still a bit off-putting because I don't know what this Tournament of Champions is.
Okay, so, and we'll get there. Okay. We will. But this is saying on draft day, where we're celebrating the heroes, the adults who are going to war, the young adults. Well, there's a 14-year-old kid going too, but that's all right. He'll figure it out.
Is he 14 even?
He would be 14 because he was 11 in the first novel. This is the fourth novel. He'd be 14, 15. That age. It's still a little off-putting.
Yeah.
And one of the big questions about this novel is the idea of we're putting children at risk of death for the entertainment of others. It's a very interesting conundrum.
Is it simply entertainment? Like, there is nothing else that comes with this, right? It's becoming a professional athlete because you're competing this money.
For your school.
But there is nothing actually at stake here, right?
No, this is just
simply death or glory.
Yes, this is a long-standing tradition. It's been made very clear before that people have died in this. It's extremely dangerous. That's why they put the age limit on it.
Right.
But this is saying, this is walking into your college and saying, all right, juniors and above, if you would like to compete for $100,000 and put your life on the line, please sign up.
Here's the 9mm.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
This is Hunger Games.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. But that seems to be the question. It's very interesting to consider that we'd be putting these children in a gladiator-style competition, right, for the entertainment of others, for the glory of the school, whatever you want to call it, for money. And just basically let them duke it out.
Especially when it seems that the entire witch and wizard community has bigger fish to fry right now, right?
Absolutely so.
You've got Dumbledore on the loose, Voldemort on the loose, and the whole deal with the Ministry of Magic just sort of losing
people are
control
disappearing.
On things. Yeah.
But that's the government at its finest. I like that because shit's starting to go haywire.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's unrealistic.
We need a distraction.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it is an interesting contrast in that way. That it is a distraction. It is the false flag, right?
Yes.
Something that is planted in order to distract. Which really, when you think about it, that's what sports are.
Absolutely so. Really,
everyone that enjoys sports, you forget about your entire life while they're on, right? And here's the thing: if your team is doing well. For example, we'll say football, because that's what I'm most familiar with. 3-hour games, right? If your team is doing well, and your life sucks at the moment, those 3 hours are amazing.
Yes.
However, say you're hitting on all cylinders in your life. You're going balls to the wall, you're killing it, right? And all of a sudden, you're watching a Mizzou game, and Mizzou happens to Mizzou things up. Boy, it sucks for a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it is interesting the way that that dynamic works in life.
As a man who's had a shitty last couple weeks and is now 0-2 in his fantasy football season, did you not just nail it on the head?
Yeah.
Look at you go.
Look at me.
Kick you while you're down. Anyway, we do get some interesting dynamic between specific characters here, and I wanted to get your opinions on things. How do you feel about the tension between Moody and Karkaroff? Thoughts?
It seems like an old war grudge, does it not? Moody is the stiff upper lip British soldier, right?
Okay.
That was like it's easy now as an American to, when you think about war, we think about World War II. Americans came, they saw, and they kicked ass.
America.
You know what I mean? That is basically the American-centric vision of war that is pro-war. The anti-war side is, boy, you're just sending kids off to die. This is Vietnam. Right? This is all of these wars that a lot of people didn't support Iraq, things like that. But for the British, there was always... Boy, I'm trying to think of how to say this so I don't sound like I think I know everything about history. But the idea of the soldier was something special to British culture, right?
I think so.
That's where you get this whole... The tradition of poetry from World War I was that the Brits were sent to war with a backpack full of novels, full of poetry, and they were writing on the front lines. They were writing when they were injured on the back lines,
which is
right?
beautiful.
So it was a different type of culture.
Yes.
And Mad Eye seems to embody that to the extreme, right?
Okay.
Notched up to 10. And when you put him against Karkaroff, who I'm not sure, it's still a weird, is he German? Is he Russian? Is it just Eastern European? What is the dynamic there? It is interesting to see that at play.
Okay. Now, Karkaroff's a very interesting character because he has weird relationships with multiple characters. The relationship between Crumb and Karkaroff is very weird and off-putting as well.
Right.
This is someone who is an educator in a position of power who is absolutely playing favorites, for lack of a better term.
Well, sure, but I don't know if you can fault him for that in this situation, can you?
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, he wants to win.
He does want to win.
Everyone wants to win in this situation. The thing that got me with that relationship is it does not seem to be a relationship of respect, but a relationship of almost employment, right?
Very much so.
Of ownership.
Yeah.
A relationship of ownership, I think, would be a better way to say it. Especially when you look at the relationship he has with the other students, the guy who throws up on himself or dribbles all over himself, whatever it's called, he basically tells him to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, because we already know who's going.
Right.
Yeah, you're just here to for the show.
Right.
But that is, I don't know, it really does bother me because Crumb is an athlete, obviously. He plays for a professional sports team. This is, in a college setting again, taking your star quarterback, who just got a deal with the NFL, and saying, hey, there's a boxing match coming up. You're good at things. You're up.
Yeah.
It's a really off-putting and really bizarre, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up here real quick?
Who was the character from Gryffindor that entered the tournament but was not picked?
I can't recall the name. I believe it was a female character. I will tell you that she is so impactful, that's the only time I really recall she's mentioned.
Really?
Yes.
See, that was striking to me that she made that appearance just to do this thing. So I was thinking in the back of my mind, she's coming back. Right?
Yeah.
This is going to be someone who plays a bigger role later.
Okay.
Now, the striking thing to me, we talked in our earlier videos about how J.K. Rowling is very good about not mentioning race.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That way, when you're reading this, Harry Potter could be a black character.
Correct.
Harry Potter could be an Asian character. Harry Potter could be this, could be that. Now, one of the ways that we, as writers, inform if race is important to us is normally we'll do it in some subtle way. Like, Ron has red hair.
Yes.
Probably a white kid, right?
Yes.
Cho Chang has a very Asian-specific sounding name. Mm-hmm. Probably Asian. But the rest of the characters haven't really... Many of the other characters haven't really had tags put on them.
Okay.
But this character was black. Okay. And was mentioned as such, right?
All right. Interesting that you would bring that up. I know we've talked a lot about race and racism in Harry Potter recently, but that is the other end of the spectrum. Are you going to have to look it up now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you a second for that. Now, there is another relationship that we could speak on here that I'm not sure is going to strengthen the argument for you here, but the apparent love interest between Hagrid and Madame Maxime.
Right.
Which seems... I don't know. You think there would be more to it besides, oh, well, they're both really big people.
But that seems to be what J.K. defers to.
That's, yeah, pretty much it. That's kind of the way
He's big boned, she's big boned. It'll work out. I have no idea what the rest of this relationship holds, but did I or did I not call
it? You called it.
Okay. I just want credit when it's due.
And towards the end, right at the end of Chapter 17... I almost want to say good for Ron. This is the first time where we've seen Ron Weasley have a bit of a backbone. Where, whether it's coming from jealousy, disappointment that, he's under the impression that Harry's lied to him. Whatever it comes from, he's the one who says...
Just real quick, he is not of the impression that Harry has lied to him. He's of the impression that Harry is lying.
To him.
Which is there is a difference there.
Okay. But... I don't know. There's some things with the Goblet of Fire that don't make sense to me. Obviously, Cedric Diggory is not entering this tournament for money. The Diggorys come for money.
Right.
We get Fred and George, who are... The only reason they're talking about entering this is for the money.
Right. So
you do get different reasons why characters would want to envelop themselves into this danger. So there is that tinge of, I don't know, almost like guilt from Ron. Because Harry, who has come for money, is entering this tournament now, underage, whereas Ron had no chance whatsoever. The twins attempted to because they were very close to the age.
Right. So did you say that Cedric being entered bothered you? Is that what you said there?
Not so much. It was more so that the relationship between Ron and Harry, what Ron would be feeling at this time.
Right.
I'm wondering if it's a financial thing. Because the Weasleys, the only ones who have mentioned entering, were only doing this for money.
See, for me, I don't think that... Well, sure, they were doing it for money, but I think larger than the money, everyone is doing this for glory.
There is the glory to it, yes, absolutely.
So, for me, it was less a question of the money and whether or not his family could be in on the money, because I don't think he really has any idea that Harry would keep any of the money from him.
Okay.
I think what it was for me was that he thinks he's being lied to as a friend. Because up to moments before the name was drawn,
he was right by his side.
He was right by his side, telling him he wasn't entering. Okay. Right.
I do think there is a bit of a flaw that needs to be mentioned with the Goblet of Fire.
So,
when Harry Potter's name was drawn, and we get to the meeting in the chapter of the Four Champions,
yes,
it is asked, did you have an older student put your name in? We went through all this trouble, and there's a question of whether Dumbledore's age line wasn't sufficient enough, whether all this trouble, and all it took was just being like, hey, you're the 7th year here.
Would you buy me the alcohol?
Will you buy me the alcohol?
Yeah.
Because apparently, if we're acknowledging the fact that an older student could have done that, then it's a possibility that it would have worked. Seems completely flawed. I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, what I wonder with it, and again, I don't know how this happened. I am not that far in the book. This is my first time through these things. Is I wonder if, having already survived death, Harry reads older, right?
Okay.
Because it seems like not only would you not... Because there was the slight... Was it... I think it was Moody who said, well, it wouldn't matter who put it in. The goblet doesn't know that people under 17 can't enter because this is the first time.
They could have put him under a different school's name so he would be the only competitor.
And this is the first time we've put the under 17 stipulation into practice.
Yes. But Moody does point out that if someone would have put this in for him, they would have had to use powerful magic, which would have been an adherent of an older wizard.
Right.
So very interesting here as to what's going on.
I'm pretty sure it's Bagman. It's Bagman, because he's trying to plant everything. He tried to fix the World Cup.
Okay.
Or what's it called?
Quidditch World Cup.
Oh, is it World Cup? Okay.
Any final thoughts on either Victor Crumb or Fleur Delacour?
Has Fleur Delacour appeared before, or have you talked about her on the show before?
I've mentioned her before.
Okay.
And, of course, there is the concept from Ron that she may be a Vila.
Oh, right.
But I have mentioned the name before, but that is the only time... This is the first time we've been introduced to the character.
Okay.
Speaks with a heavy French accent, obviously.
Yeah. A heavy, stereotypical French accent. Let's put that out there.
Yes.
Let's put that out there.
It's pretty... This is the French accent coming from the person with the, striped sweater and the hat.
This is the French accent coming from the character on Scooby-Doo.
There you go. Good way to put it. Did you find what you were looking for?
Page 261. People were cheering out in the entrance hall. They all swiveled around in their seats and saw Angelina Johnson coming into the hall, grinning and embarrassed in a sort of way. A tall black girl who played chaser on the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Angelina came over to them and sat down and said, "Well, I've done it. Just put my name in."
Okay.
That's the only... This is it for her. Not even in the future Quidditch matches?
If she's mentioned again, it's very brief.
Actually, this would... if she is 17, she would not be playing Quidditch again, would she?
Probably not, because there's no Quidditch this year. This is probably her last year. There has been a slew of comments that say, Dalton, why did you just ruin that for Adrian? Why did you just give him that spoiler?
Well, let me shoot this out there real quick. With no other context on those comments, Dalton has ruined my life. So if there's a few spoilers from Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings thrown in, what's it matter at this point?
Small things like that I don't see as a spoiler.
Small things like what?
Does she appear again? Not that I can really recall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't think that's necessarily a spoiler. Because I'm not sitting back saying, boy, I hope Angelina Johnson comes back. Right?
Certain people are just furious that I do things like that. The fact that I mentioned the name Fleur Delacour apparently just ruins the entire series for you. Anything else you want to mention about Harry Potter?
I wonder about the magic of the goblet.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily the magic of the goblet, but what is the mechanism in this series that disallows people from winning things based on merit? right?
Okay.
We have the sorting hat instead of, well, here's a test that you're going to take. We have the Goblet of Fire instead of, well, line up, run the 40, get on your broom,
We'll take
who
the
can
top
go the
three.
highest. Yeah. So I wonder what that, like, is it just, it seems to me to be of the culture of everyone gets a trophy, right?
Okay.
Because it's something inherent to you. Obviously, not everyone's competing, right? So not everyone gets a trophy. But it is something inherent in you. It is something that you do not have to earn in order to compete.
You're either the best or you're not. No matter how hard you work, you're never going to be there.
Well, and you don't, yeah. And the one who is the best didn't get there by working harder.
No, they just are the best because they are inherently
Got
the
there
best.
because the Goblet of Fire chose them.
You're never going to be Victor Crumb because we already have a Victor Crumb. And look at him.
Right.
He's going to be Victor Crumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Very
that
interesting.
is something that is interesting to me from someone who played sports for a good part of their life.
As someone who never played sports, yeah. I'm just taking a quick look here to see what we have coming next. Okay. Coming next, we're going to get into a character that I want to talk about quite a bit, so I'm excited for that. And I believe we are going to get into the first trial of the tournament. So you're going to have a little bit more of a base knowledge of what the Tri-Wizard tournament is about.
Okay.
And that's coming next week.
Okay.
And you're excited and you're ready for it.
So what I've gathered so far, I am still unaware of the fact, how long does this tournament last? Through the entire year?
Yes.
So
Good portion of it, yes.
So these people are just at Hogwarts now for the year.
Yes, and I do believe that was mentioned that this will be taking place for the majority of the year.
Yeah, and that's what threw me off, was
Okay.
that I don't think it was mentioned before that.
These characters will exist through the entirety of the rest of this novel.
And these are
They're there.
not these are events that happen, not competitions that are thrown. Is that right?
What do you mean by that?
They said that the first situation would be a surprise.
Yes.
Which leads me to believe that all of a sudden Voldemort will manifest on the campus and whoever attacks him is going to be the one that wins, right? Okay. As opposed to there is a golden egg somewhere on the campus. Whoever gets that first wins.
No, they are events. Because they did give a specific date, so that is mentioned in this chapter. But the event as what will be happening is the surprise. So they don't know what they're getting into. They don't know what they're going to have to prepare for. Okay. But on this day is game one. And you better be ready because you don't know what sport you're playing.
Oh, so it is a sport.
No, but
okay.
I'm just
okay.
lack of better
okay.
term.
Okay.
Anyway, if you want to follow us along, make sure you hit that like button down below and give us a subscribe as well. We do this every week now for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, because these things keep coming out. You should also follow us on Twitter @StripCover, on Facebook @StripCoverLit, and if you would like to join our patronage, there is a link in the description below.